G-Day is still coming up, and we got more on the bone to talk about, which is who is going to be our offensive, defensive MVPs, as well as maybe somebody that you're sleeping on that you shouldn't be sleeping on, because we anticipate them to make big strides. Next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. He is Clint. I am Daniel. Together we are Locked On Bulldogs, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. So happy to have you here. Today's episode brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app today. More on them in a moment. Clint, G-Day is fast approaching, and we have much to discuss. On yesterday's show, we talked about our general feelings and predictions about how the game would go.
Yep.
Today, we're going to dive deeper into individuals, and individuals is really what G-Day is all about. The bigger metric statistics that you normally would care a great deal about during the season, they mean significantly less. It's the stories that emerge out of G-Day that are really the thing that move the needle for people, get people excited about this game. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about some offensive MVP candidates and some defensive MVP candidates. In other words, guys that we think are going to come out and absolutely ball at G-Day. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that they will be the best players on Georgia's team. No. Because, again, last year, if you were to have given out an offensive MVP from G-Day, it would have been given to Mekhi Muse. And so, take it with as many grains of salt as you need to. Yeah. But we're going to give you the players that we think are absolutely going to show up and show out between the hedges on Saturday. So, let's jump right in, and we'll start with the offensive MVP. And I'm going to let you go first because I think you have known for 3 weeks who you were going to choose for this. And I'm just going to give you the floor and allow you to make your case.
Give me some space because
I need room for my arms.
If you all don't know, Dylan Bell is a world-class wide receiver. Anthony Evans should have a lot of space to grow. Rah-rah, Dom Lovett, guys that are going to show out this year. I have no doubt. We've heard reports, Rah-rah, as well as Dom, have both got another year into the system and know these route trees, know these concepts, and it looks like they are precision, which is great. But y'all, Colby Young is going to show you something that you've been missing since A.D. Mitchell has gone out of the program. And that is the ability to just go up and get a touchdown when he wants in the end zone. Y'all remember AD, don't you? The guy who just said, put game on me and I'll go do it. Then went to Texas to be with his family, which is good for him. Again, no shame in doing so, taking care of yours and your kin. But Daniel, Colby Young is that dude, bigger bodied, more catch radius. I think in this game specifically, where you're going to have just a quick little back shoulder fade, quick little fade route, a go route, something that says go up and get some, go up and battle. We want to make it really, really simplified pass protection, a quick drop back, throw the ball up, see what you got in the red zone. I anticipate Colby Young to show me why I have high hopes. And I do truly think a double-digit touchdown year is not out of the question. It is not out of the question with everybody else we have, because if you get in close, lower reception than most guys, lower yards than most guys. But if you look at what he did in Miami and the ability to catch the ball on catchable balls, not stupidly thrown balls, there's a lot to hope for. And I think G-Day is going to show out for him. That's who my offensive MVP is. Who do you have, Daniel?
I'll tell you. Here's the moment that I knew that Clint was high on Colby Young. A little peek behind the curtain here. we're doing a show, and this is like 6 weeks ago. We're doing a show, maybe not that long, but a long time ago. We're doing a show about transfers coming into the program that we think have the best chance to make the longest, like the biggest long-term impact. We've got 3 names on the list. Unbeknownst, I mean, little known fact, we do a pre-production meeting. We discuss our list. We have everything set. The list is 3 names. I can't remember. The last of the 3 names is London Humphreys. That's the 3rd name on the list. We get into the show. We're recording just as we are right now. We get to the 3rd segment. Clint says, all right, time for up number 3. We're going to give you a little bone. We're going to give you 2 names here instead of just 1, 2 wide receivers. No, and I'm just sitting over here like, oh, we are? That's great. No, that's fun. And Clint said, London Humphreys, yeah, fine. But don't sleep on this Colby Young kid. That's the moment that I knew that Clint had officially crossed over and become Colby Young fanboy. I don't hate the pick. I really don't. I do think you mentioned several other names I could have gone with. Dom Lovett. I think it would be a great name in order to go within this game. I think he could have a very productive outing. I'm going to go with the name that I mentioned yesterday on the podcast that I just simply think is going to ball out in this game, and it's Gunnar Stockton. It's kind of a layup. It's kind of a softball because I think Gunnar Stockton's got the most to gain by having a big outing. And I think Gunnar Stockton's got the talent and the maturity in the system with Mike Bobo. And I think Mike Bobo... So the angle I took yesterday was Gunnar Stockton wants to show Mike Bobo some things. Well, I think Mike Bobo wants to see some things from Gunnar Stockton. So I think it cuts both ways. There's a lot of evaluation that's happening in this game, and it's not all evaluation about this year's football team, right? Mike Bobo plans on being the offensive coordinator of this team, not just this year, but on into the future. And that future largely hangs on the shoulder of Gunnar Stockton. I mean, he is the heir apparent to to the quarterback room at the University of Georgia. And so when Carson Beck leaves, it'll be Gunnar Stockton coming in, presumably to inherit that job. And so I think there's some things that Mike Bobo needs and wants to see out of. And so I think you're going to see him. You mentioned the route tree being a little vanilla for Carson Beck. I don't disagree with that at all. Obviously, we don't want to put a bunch of stuff on film, especially with an opponent like Clemson in week 1 of the season. You don't want to put a ton of stuff on film, but I think you might have a bit of a spicier call sheet for Gunnar Stockton because this Georgia coaching staff, I think, quite frankly, is trying to do some live bullet evaluations here in Sanford Stadium in front of a buttload of people between the hedges on a Saturday. Like, I think it's a big moment for him. And so I think he's going to have an opportunity to put up a lot of numbers, a lot of yards. Surely there won't be Georgia fans dumb enough to say that he should be the starting quarterback. But then again, I said, surely there won't be Georgia fans dumb enough. And so I should have just ended the sentence right there because we all know there's some people out there that are going to say some things. I think Gunnar Stockton's going to ball out, though. Glenn.
I do as well. We're going to come back after this, talk about the defensive side. But first, these. These are, in fact, FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sports book of Locked On Bulldogs. Daniel and I love them so much. And right now it's playoff time in NBA, NHL. Baseball's in full swing. FanDuel has your place to bet on every game. How many home runs does Matt Olson have? The question or the answer is more than your player. That's who all I care about. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. But on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on the app that is safe, secure, easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/locked on and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We talked about the offensive side. Let's talk about the defensive side. I do think Gunnar Stockton, which, by the way, we're going to come into the third segment. I'm not going to give my total spicy take yet on Gunnar Stockton, but we are going to need to see some things because we have a couple of key recruits who are coming in. We have Ryan Puglisi, who is coming in already, who is on campus. We have one named recruit who didn't want the smoke and couldn't take the heat. We do need to know what we have in Gunnar Stockton. I
Absolutely.
think we have something good, but if you're going to put some sort of device to me and say you have to choose, I'm not going to say he is going to be the guy and going to ball out. I need to see some things as well. I'm very high on him. But let's talk about the defensive side. Daniel, do you have somebody that, as you're looking at defense, you say this is who's going to be the defensive MVP for G-Day right now?
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to come as a surprise. I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to anyone in particular, because all offseason I have been very adamant that I believe that Dalen Everett is going to have a bounce back, really successful season at corner for the University of Georgia. He was much maligned last year for his play opposite Kamari Lassiter. And I think he had to do a lot of on-the-job learning. And I think quite often, a lot of that on-the-job learning was a bit much for him. Now, there were a lot of people that wondered, why is he getting so many snaps? Even when Julian Humphrey is healthy and good to go, why is Dalen Everett continuing to get so many snaps? This coaching staff obviously really likes this kid. They really like what they see in him. We've said many times on this podcast before, it's hard to come in and play corner in the SEC when it's your first year of doing so on a full-time capacity. And I think now coming back this year, obviously along with Julio, with Julian Humphrey, which is going to be a huge asset to the Georgia defensive back room. But I think you're going to see, I think a guy like Dalen Everett is not only going to have a good season for Georgia, I think he maybe has a pick in this game. I think he plays really well in this game, and I think he's got a chance with as many times as the ball's going to be thrown. Is he going to give up something? Yeah, he might give up something, but he might have a pick in this game. He might have some deflections, some batted balls, make some plays in space. I am excited and optimistic to watch him play on Saturday, Clint, and I expect him to have a really good performance, which is going to catapult him into what I expect to be a really good year.
I anticipate many things. I think this is another one of those sneaky. Georgia always has a corner somewhere that sneaks up on people all of a sudden, turns into a lockdown guy. I think he is there as well. I'm not going with CJ Allen. I'm not going with Smile London. Although I think they're going to have good games unto themselves.
Fine.
I really do. I think it comes to me, two names come to mind. And I'm having a hard time choosing between the two at G-Day specifically. Because again, G-Day rewards the athletes amongst us, Daniel. Again, it's a glorified drill. It's larger. You get game speed. It's all about speed, communication, ability to do the fundamentals very, very well. So if you're athletic and you're reacting, you're going to do well in this atmosphere. Okay. Well, I think I just described to you who I think Jalen Walker is, a very gifted athlete. And he's going to be on the edge as well as in the middle. I think we're going to see him play lots of different positions at G-Day, Daniel.
Sure.
I think we're going to see him in some passing down situations on the edge. I think we're going to see him at inside linebacker. And also with that, I think Kyron Jones is another guy that leaps off the page to me.
Yeah,
he's going to get reps.
Him a few weeks ago. Yeah,
we have. And I'm having a hard time choosing between these two gentlemen. And so at the end of the day, I think because of the passing game, and I think because of that being elevated, Kyron Jones is going to be my choice for MVP. He's going to get lots of reps. He's going to be going good on good. I think maybe Aguero, or he might get some run with the ones. He might get some throwing him back on the twos. He gets some more reps there. But I think this kid is going to shock a lot of people in the star position as well as safety, Daniel.
It's easy to make the comp because of the same position. And The comp I'm actually making is how drastically different their body types are.
Okay, that's good.
Think
Uh-huh.
about not the physical traits, but think about the physicality with
Yes.
which Tyke Smith played the position.
Yes.
Like, he was a dog. You understand? Like, that's just who he was, a dog. Kyron Jones looks like Tyke Smith plays. You see what I'm saying there? Like,
good. I do.
okay.
I know.
So if Kyron Jones plays like he looks, which is how Tyke Smith plays.
Okay. I see. This. It was hard to get there at first, Daniel,
Uh-huh.
but the banana stand, you keep on going back to it. There's
Yeah.
always money in the banana stand.
That you got a stew going. If those two things match up, you got a real stew going. And so I don't hate that pick at all. I'm excited for the young man. I think he's going to get some run at the star position, maybe a little safety position. We'll see what happens. But certainly in a moment like G-Day, where you got you're fielding two defenses out here, Clint, he going to get plenty of run, which is it's such an exciting thing about this game. You get to see so many guys get so many snaps, and we love that. I'm going to ask Clint when we come back about two freshmen on the defensive side of the ball and which one is going to impress more at G-Day. And we'll talk about it right after this.
But first, we're going to talk about Game Time. Game Time is fantastic. Daniel and I love them, truly and honestly.
We're going to be hitting up that Game Time coming up here in the fall. Are we not, Clint?
The question is not which game, it's how many games, Daniel.
Yeah. We're going to be prospecting on many games. You understand?
Killer last minute deal, all in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. We can go ahead and check that. Fact check, yes, it's true. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Pick any of the specific game matchups you'd like to attend. Talk about anything that you want to see happen in a baseball game. This is what Game Time's all about. They say, hey, where do you want to sit? What's your price point? What's the view? What's the line? It takes care of all of that. You filter it down. Daniel and I love them. I will probably be likely going to 4 Atlanta Braves baseball games sometime in August.
You get a 4-pack.
He just a cool.
Let's just hope Clint's wife is not listening to the pod right now, just so we hadn't necessarily run that by all the parties involved. But
well, guess what? Save up to 60% off buying last minute. Daniel, sports, concerts, comedy, theater, flash deal, zone deal, all in pricing. It's fantastic. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time. Download Game Time app. Create an account. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time app today. Last minute tickets. Low price. Guaranteed.
All right,
you
Clint,
said
you know where I'm going. Where I'm going. The world knows where I'm going. We're gonna get out here on Saturday, Clint, and we're gonna see some things with our own 2 eyes. The 2 eyes that God has blessed us with and allowed us to live another year and see another year of Georgia football. Now, with those 2 eyes, we are going to see young men by the name of KJ Bolden and Ellis Robinson. They're both going to be playing defensive back. They are both going to be playing for the University of Georgia. I don't know if they'll be on the same squad or not. I do not care.
I don't care.
But what I am asking you, Clint, is to look into the candle, stare into the flames of the candle, put the robe on and look into the future. And you tell me after G-Day, which one of these 2 young men are you going to be the most excited about based on what you saw them do on the field between the hedges?
To me, I think this is easy.
Okay.
I think this is easy because a lot of the impressiveness of Ellis Robinson, I think, is going to come in the form of incomplete passes. I think when you look at G-Day, I think he's not going to get a lot of passes completed on him because of how he presses and messes up the coverage for the offense. I think that is true. I think when you look at KJ and you look at the physical features he has, you look at the size and the speed, and in the middle of the field where he has more range to come up, maybe in the run game or maybe in a short passing game, or maybe to help complement over the top on something, I think he's going to have 1, 2, 3 plays where you go, oh, dang, that dude is going to see the field. For me, it's KJ Bolden only because of the amount of times that he has more of the impact plays. We've seen this happen at UGA and with corners in general. When you look at corners that have locked down and then gone on to the draft, when you don't hear their name, when you don't hear the receiver opposite of them, when you shut down Deebo Samuel for an entire game and you never hear him, you get drafted very high because DeAndre Baker did just that and you didn't hear his name. I think that's Ellis Robinson. So I think KJ is going to have more of that eyeball catching attitude in G-Day specifically, again, because it rewards reaction, physicality, athleticism more than anything else with a stripped down, simplified process. So I'm going to go KJ Bolden. Would you agree with that? Disagree? Where do you feel?
I do think it's opportunity. You're looking at potential opportunities, and the better a corner plays, the less they're on TV. I think that's the point that you're making, and the point's well taken. Corners can also make some dang plays as well, and I don't put it past Ellis Robinson IV from doing such a thing, but I do think the opportunity to be in the middle of the field, to be involved in a lot of the different passing plays, whether it's pursuit, whether it's taking an angle on the football when it's in the air, whether it is, locking up in a man-to-man coverage or hanging back and making a break on the ball. I think you're going to have opportunities for KJ Bolden to do a lot of those things. And so I think it's more likely that the answer to that is yes, but I wouldn't put it past either of them for making quite an impression. I'm going to give you a sleeper defensive MVP, Clint, and then I wonder if you have maybe end us out with a sleeper offensive MVP. A name that neither of us mentioned, but that you could foresee making a big splash and an impact.
Okay.
I think there's a chance that you could see a guy like Christian Miller jump up and be in the backfield a lot in this game. Really be making some significant plays, maybe not sacks, maybe not whatever, but plays, yes, stopping the run, being involved on tackles, pursuing out in space. I think Christian Miller's got the athleticism that, if something gets wide on him, he's got the ability to run sideline to sideline. But then I think you're going to see some of these. It's going to be interesting to me to see which of these defensive linemen really, if any, elevate themselves and show us something. And I think you could see a guy like Christian Miller. It's kind of his time. He's been around. He's not, he's a junior this year. He's been around the program. He's had some time. And yes, we've got guys like Warren Brinson and Nazir Stackhouse back, but it's really his time to elevate his performance and show why he's been at Georgia all along. And so I think you could be looking at a potential breakout G-Day for him.
Again, raw athleticism, big, powerful dude in the middle. In which case, again, offensive line, really good in drills to know, and you have all the time in the world to set the pass protection, but live fire hits, and all of a sudden it's a different game. I'm going to get you 2 wide receivers and then maybe land on a third guy that I think is possibly being looked over. But if reports out of camp or anything, and we're talking about catch radius and a very, very limited ability to understand. Michael Jackson, the third out of USC, transfer wide receiver on over. If there's ever an opportunity, it's at the end of it. This is the Mekhi Muse type hit all of a sudden where he shows out. He's able to make catches, make plays. He has a great shot of doing that. So, but I think Anthony Evans, if all reports out of camp are that that dude has an ability to work his way into a top rotational aspect on the wide receivers because he brings something
yes.
that Rah, Dom, Colby Young, and Humphreys do not possess. And that is unadulterated speed with also the ability to catch and possess the football.
Yeah.
So I really, really, really think that we're going to see him play a huge, huge role. And then Daniel, the controversy is not going to be, wow, Gunnar Stockton looks so good, he should go ahead and supplant Carson Beck as quarterback. And I swear to all that is good, Georgia fan, stop. Okay. But don't put this past Ryan Puglisi coming out here and making you say, Gunnar who? Because y'all, this kid has no chill. He has no fear. And he has a mentality of I'm here to play. He came when the number one generational recruit in the entire nation was, and he said, I don't care. I'm still here. And I want to be here. So guess what? Let's roll. I think Ryan Puglisi is going to make a couple throws that you and I are going to. Now, Georgia fan, this name does not feel good. I get it. But when Justin Fields came out on G-Day and showed out a couple of long throws on the sideline, we were excited, and rightfully so. He has the ability to run very far.
Absolutely.
And throw from a knee. Oh, wait, that's Tennessee quarterback. I forgot.
Yeah. Well,
But I think Puglisi is going to go ahead and show some absolute rope throws that make us have the same feels, Daniel.
You know how Georgia fans love to make the third string quarterback the second string quarterback. I mean, it is a national pastime for Georgia fans. Let's make the third string quarterback the second string quarterback.
Jeez, Daniel.
Good Lord.
I did it to myself. I brought it up.
Can't wait for more of that. It'll be fun. G-Day is coming up, and we are excited about it, as you should be too. We'll be back later this week. We've got lots more that we're going to discuss here on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. We'll see you then.